practices in innovation, engagement, and technology transfer. All the sessions will follow a uniform format, with a 3 minute of opening from the moderator, followed by the panelist statement, where each expert will get to share their perspectives for 3 minutes, which would be totaling for 15 minutes. We'll then move into a 15-minute guided session where the moderator will pose 3 or 4 structured questions to ensure diverse insights on the topic. Afterwards, we'll open the floor for a 5-minute audience Q&A before wrapping up with the 2 minutes of closing remarks. With 10 minutes of grace time built in, we are set for an engaging and a thoughtful discussion. As we proceed, please note the QR code on the back of your badge over here. Scan it to access the GIPC 2025 networking portal using your registered email and OTP. Through the portal, you can chat, schedule meetings, and view the agenda for the speaker details. Also, don't forget to personalize the bag tags in your delegate bags with the pen provided. It's a handy way to ensure your bag doesn't wander off unexpectedly. Now, moving to the session 1 of our day. In this first technical session, we'll dive into the global best practices in fostering innovation and technology transfer. Together, we will explore strategies and challenges faced by the organizations worldwide in translating research into tangible products and services with a focus on effective management and partnership. First of all, we have our moderator, Mr. Yatin Karpe from Texas State University, who brings over 23 years of experience in technology transfer, IP management, and commercialization, having held leadership roles at institutions like Rowan University and North Carolina State University. Mr. Karpe excels in fostering regional and global collaboration. I would now request Mr. Yatin Karpe to kindly take over the session.
Good morning, everyone. We are not going to follow any of those steps which they said, 3 minutes and all that. We are going on our own global agenda. My name is Yatin Karpe. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Innovation, Commercialization, and Engagement at Texas State University, which is based in Texas, USA. And first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for attending the session. We are glad that we found 20-odd people to come and listen to us. The goal of our session is to provide an overall context or overall understanding of technology transfer. What happens at GIPC conferences is there is more focus on IP vis-a-vis industry. There's none or minimal focus on academic tech transfer, university tech transfer, which has IP at its heart. So that's the uniqueness of our session. We would have loved to do many more. Unfortunately, time was of the essence here. So we are trying to provide different aspects, global aspects of tech transfer. What I mean by that is we're covering Americas, Europe, and Asia. So we have 3 speakers. We had more speakers, but then we were told it's 40 minutes. So we cut down the few people. So we thought we'll go broad perspectives. Do remember that we have 40 minutes. We want to give each of the panel speakers some good amount of time to talk about their perspectives of tech transfer, give their introductions, give their exclusive or specific aspects of their tech transfer, which is unique to their place. So you get a broader perspective of what tech transfer is in different parts of the world. Having said this, again, reiterating, we have a global sort of thought process here. We'll start with Mary Albertson from Georgia Tech, USA, followed by Rajiv from Europe, from Denmark, and last but not the least, Avinash, who would give his perspective. I would encourage Mary to start. Our focus and our format is going to be 10 minutes approximately. Each of the speakers is going to talk about the aspects, as I said, and hopefully there may be questions in between. We'll try to make sure that we stick by the time. Otherwise, towards the end, we'll have a few more Q&A. Either I'll do the Q&A or we can have questions from you guys. So, Mary?
I don't like to stand behind this because you can't see me, basically. I have a box. I'm Mary Albertson. As Yatin said, I'm the director of the Office of Technology Licensing at Georgia Tech. I would like to thank Yatin and the other organizers for the invitation to come today. One of the things that has been important to me in my 30-year clearly never used a mic before. Okay. So I've been doing academic tech transfer for 30 years, and over my entire career, one of the important things has been how do we, in the United States, do a better job of integrating our intellectual property worldwide? Because obviously our mission is to get the technology out of the lab into the hands of consumers, users. And there are corporations all over the world who can do that, and in certain areas much better than in the US. So I'm very honored to be part of this panel, not only to talk a little bit about my perspective, but also to hear from my other panelists and learn from you all. So as I mentioned, I've been doing this for 30 years, 26 years of that I was at Stanford University. I've been at Georgia Tech 2.5 years. I was at University of Utah for a couple years. And in my tenure at Georgia Tech, one of the first priorities was basically to educate the faculty at the university about what commercialization was, what our role is in that. And because we have an international faculty, it's excellent. We get ideas from each of them about, from their perspective and their experience, who would be best to involve in the development of these products. I'm in the Office of Technology Licensing, which is part of the Office of Commercialization, and I'll talk a little more about what that means. So one thing that we're very proud of is Georgia Tech has been ranked as #2 for innovative universities. This is U.S. News and World Report. There are a variety of factors that go into that, having to do with the research, certainly. We are trying to pull the tech transfer part of that component up. And the $1.5 billion in research expenditures is to give some perspective on basically what we're working with, what our raw material is. This puts us at the very top of the universities. I think we are the #1 for universities that don't have medical schools. That is a big difference for us. I will say, though, that of that $1.5 billion, approximately $1 billion is sponsorship from the Department of Defense, meaning most of that is classified. So those are inventions we're never going to see. That's technology that can't be disclosed to us. Nonetheless, I'm in my own way. So this slide shows one of the factors that's also something that Georgia Tech is very proud of. The NIA ranking is only based currently on the number of issued patents. So despite the fact that our office is really in a rebuilding and growing stage, we have done significantly well. We are improving in our rankings. I will say, how many of you actually do tech transfer as opposed to are an attorney? Okay. I hope when we get to the question and answer section, all of you ask questions that can help understand what our perspective is. So as far as tech transfer goes, though, I have to say that number of issued patents is not an indicator of commercial potential. So this is just the IP metrics from our office, again, to give you an idea of the scope of what we're dealing with. My #1 mandate when I started was to increase the number of disclosures. That's not a great tech transfer metric, but for us, it is a very good indication of us making an impact on people understanding we even exist, what our resources are, and why they should participate in commercialization. I'm putting this up here to give you an indication because I've heard other talks talking about, entrepreneurship, startups, and things like that, and how IP interacts with that. Startups are a very important metric, not just for Georgia Tech. The city of Atlanta has a plan. They want to be known in the top 5, ranked in the top 5 of cities that are good for entrepreneurship, startup companies. So they're putting in place some different infrastructure and trying to bring in more funding. Our role in that is obviously to make sure people outside the university understand what technology we have that's good for a startup. But for us in particular, for my office in particular, make it easy. Make it easy to license the intellectual property. And so we have in place an express license that I put in place about 6 months after I started that we've been using for startups to help the university and the city achieve this goal. So getting back to where we fit in the university, as I said, we're part of the Office of Commercialization, which has 4 offices within it, one of which being ours. The Office of Commercialization was only formed a little over 4 years ago, and that was when, the president of the university made clear a focus was commercialization, get the technology out to be used. The reason why I've been in academic tech transfer for so long is because I love the mission. There are so many things on bench tops in the university that could be put in the hands of the public. And that's why I'm fascinated with this job, plus all the different aspects, because we are responsible for the interactions with the faculty, trying to find the technology, then trying to understand the technology in the perspective of commercialization, find the companies, negotiate the license, value the deals. So it's a very wide range of exciting technology. So one of the things that I'm looking for in the question and answer section is any questions that I can answer, that we can answer, that will help everyone understand how we can work together, where the synergies might lie. Because within our university, those relationships didn't exist when I started, and with our law firms, because we don't file in-house, we hire external counsel. It makes a difference if they understand working with the university, working with faculty members, and working with the tech transfer offices.
Thank you, Mary. So you get a little bit of a perspective from Mary in terms of what a classic tech transfer office does. And now I'm going to ask Rajiv to take on and give us a little bit of flair from his perspective, which is more of, he's an entrepreneur, he does entrepreneurial education, innovation, IP education, but from a different perspective, and he's going to give us a few examples, so I'll pass it on to Rajiv.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to our session. Can I please have my slides up? Maybe I'll just stand a bit here, Avi, so I don't... Okay, so so I'm Rajiv. I'm originally, of course, from India, but I've been living in Denmark for the last 20 plus years, and I come from the state of Meghalaya here in India, and this time I'm actually very happy that I could make it to here, also because I'm also going to be spending a little more time here and understanding the educational landscape here as well. So what I work at, I don't know how many of you know Aarhus, so I thought I should really tell you a little bit about that, but just a very quick timeline about myself. My own background is that of a tech person. I have a PhD in biophysics, and then I've done some nanoscience, and then I've done a business degree in sustainability. Right now I'm at the Aarhus University Dean's Office, where I'm the head of innovation and entrepreneurship, and I also have my own game design studio on the side. I think in this QR code here you have a more sort of a fun intro about myself, so those of you who are curious to know more about what I do, you can scan the QR and get a little bit more background of what I do. But in general, I think I'm going to take you through a little bit first the journey of at Aarhus University and what we do at Aarhus. And then after that, I will talk a little bit about the case of my own design studio, which is actually a spin out of the activities that I do both in teaching and research. So that's kind of that. So Aarhus University is a national university. So those of you who don't know where Denmark is, I've put it up on the map there, as you can see. It's right above Germany, and I think if you think about Germany as let's say the world's 4th largest economy in the world, Denmark is I think ranked 30th or something like that. But in terms of per capita, we are a small country of 5 million people. we are ranked 12th, and Germany is ranked 18th in GDP per capita. So we definitely push way above our weight. And we have some of the world's largest companies that are there. Vestas, the largest windmill company. We have Novo Nordisk, which is a huge global pharmaceutical powerhouse. And of course, Lego, which is also a great games company that's there. And ours is sort of the second largest city after Copenhagen, which is the capital. And of course, we also own Greenland. If you've heard the news recently, President Trump would like to take over Greenland, and I think there's a big discussion right now in the news about that. So, but that's why, just to let you know, Aarhus University also has 3 campuses in Greenland. So, so we are a big university. We are internationally recognized. We are one of the top 25 best universities in Europe, and are ranked the top 100 and 150 in many global rankings around the world as well. And in general, I thought I should just highlight we are kind of around 40,000 students if I add exchange students as well, about 11,500 employees and about 1,800 PhD students. So we are a broad sort of university. We have all the disciplines, very research intensive. We have 2 Nobel Prize laureates in economics and health that's come from here. We have arts, humanities, the business, health, and the natural and technical, and these are the 2 faculties that I cover. This is kind of our beautiful campus. So the yellow brick buildings kind of identifies the campus in the center of the city, but we have grown bigger. The university has expanded, so now we have taken over some of the large, the red buildings around as well. And this kind of gives you an idea that the center here of the green park was actually the campus, but as you can see, we have also expanded a lot more now as we keep growing. And this is our new campus 2.0 that's coming up, which is an old hospital that we have taken over, and this is also quite sort of new. Anyway, organization-wise, we have a very sort of big mandate, and of course we have all the faculties sort of under the board of directors and the rector's office. And my role, like I said, is the Faculty of Technical and Natural Sciences, so those are the 2 faculties that I cover. But what I do is essentially I try and prepare the ground for a lot of scientists and researchers to prepare them to actually move to our Enterprise and Innovation Unit. The Enterprise and Innovation Unit is another self-standing unit which has our incubator and our tech transfer office in the same. Earlier, our tech transfer activities was actually up there. What we have moved it and given it the same recognition and the same sort of ability as that of a department or of its own, like a faculty of its own. So of course we don't call it Faculty of Enterprise, but it's actually having a vice president instead of a dean, and the vice president of the Enterprise and Innovation Unit has the same powers as that of a dean. So that's our way to kind of really put that up. And then of course I try and build a pipeline of startups that move towards enterprise and innovation. So that's kind of my role. And I do this with multiple sort of ways. This is my vision was, of course, to create enterprising scientists first, and then subsequently scientific entrepreneurs. So the idea being that if we can actually create enterprising scientists, we will have a pool from which we can get more entrepreneurs and maybe more intrapreneurs who will practice entrepreneurship in companies. And this vision also takes into account that to understand that invention or the inventor is not necessarily or doesn't have to be connected to the innovation or the innovator, who can be someone else, and the entrepreneur can also be someone else. And understanding that these 3 things are actually not mutually, people can do different things, allows us much more freedom in our commercialization activities. So that's the thing we do. And the other thing is, if you think about the innovation that happens in the scientific world, what we normally read at the end of a story is usually the journal article that a scientist might publish. The journal article is the end point, which provides new knowledge. The problem is, a lot of people think, oh, we need to wait until we can read the article. But I think our scouting activities need to happen way before, and because the interesting journeys are actually happening before, and that's where we want to capture. So right now, our scouts from our business development team are actually no longer waiting for the scientists to publish an article, but are actually sitting in their research meetings, in their lab meetings, and trying to capture even way before they publish. So, so that's kind of there. And then we have, of course, our tech transfer commercialization process, which is like, we have the same pre-invention, assessment, commercialization, and post-deal management. And usually the assessment part we try and do within 2 months. After an invention disclosure, we can take care of that very fast. But of course, the commercialization can sometimes take typically years. And we, of course, have to make go, no-go decisions as well. Use the standard commercialization models, like many other universities, is industrial collaboration, licenses and licensing to industry, and of course, spin-outs and startups. So this is kind of the way we do it, and I thought I'll do with a couple of case examples. So I'll do this, my own game design studio, which is spun out from my teaching, and I'll just do that with a very short video instead. Let's see if it works. Oh. Can you just click on the video on the screen?
Hi, my name is Rajiv, co-founder of Biosymphonics and also university educator of entrepreneurship. In 2016, I noticed a challenge in my classroom. Students expected everything to go as planned. But the real world is full of uncertainty, and I wanted a way to prepare them for that. So we created eShip Navigating Uncertainty, an educational board game designed to teach entrepreneurial thinking, but with an emphasis on the inherent uncertainty in real-world processes they'll likely encounter once they leave the institution. After extensive testing and refining, we finalized eShip and quickly discovered that educators worldwide were dealing with the same challenge. Now, eShip is used in over 70 locations across 28 different countries and has been recognized with multiple awards demonstrating its impact and relevance. Now, I could talk for days about the various theories and mechanics embedded within the game, but instead, I will address a frequently asked question: why an analog board game? The answer is simple. As uncertainty grows in our world, collaborative decision-making has become an essential skill, especially when working across diverse disciplines. But collaboration is not something you can simply switch on. It requires practice, and our game provides a safe space to navigate real-world uncertainty, building players' collaborative skills through direct, face-to-face engagement. This in-person interaction is crucial for collaborative skill development and is really hard to master in an online environment. eShip Navigating Uncertainty has proven, despite the COVID years, that our in-person approach works. The game has reached over 5,000 learners worldwide already and is part of core curriculum in some universities where it's now used annually. The game's real impact, however, is not in the creative idea it triggers, but rather through building the confidence in one that one can be entrepreneurial without being an entrepreneur, something really distilled by this student reflection from 2019. And for me, this is the real impact, an impact that is scalable and necessary in in-person learning.
So this again, when I mentioned about scalability, this is an example just to show that this is, for example, a class of 200 engineering students. And usually universities are designed with having auditoriums. Auditoriums are no place to play a game, so here we actually found space in a canteen. This is our canteen, and then we actually had to play there. And then the university recognized that, well, we need to create more mobile spaces, and now all our classrooms are mobile like this and no longer auditoriums. So that's kind of also something like that. I do have some institutes. I think the IIT Chennai and IIM Bangalore and IIM Shillong are the ones that are using this game. But I think what I wanted to highlight amongst all the others is that it's really about changing their view of entrepreneurship and then hopefully getting them to try out different disciplines and different lines. And I think this former biology student, for example, is now working as a bid specialist at a travel company, and she would have never even applied for such a job unless she had gone through an entrepreneurial process. So this is, I think, very relevant. Another example that I wanted to highlight is a game which might be relevant for this audience here, is a game on patents. And this is something we created during COVID. And again, IP is taught in our courses, but the problem with IP, it's usually relegated to the tech transfer office, or we invite patent attorneys to come and give a lecture or a guest lecture. It's a dry topic, and the students usually struggle with understanding the patent concepts. So we said, could we use a game to try and challenge how you read a patent? And I'll just tell you with a very short video how the game works. But before that, I think what I wanted to highlight is the fundamental reason for creating the game was, yes, you need a lawyer to draft a patent, but you don't need a lawyer to read one. And that was kind of sort of the reasoning behind the game. So if I just click the video, if you can just sound. So we worked with a Dutch game company to help us code.
Patents. Not the easiest subject to teach at the best of times. Although you may already consider them a valuable resource, others might feel like they are written by lawyers for other lawyers. But that can change. It will just take a different approach. Leap in Time is an online game which introduces the subject of patents. To help Leonardo da Vinci, who has traveled through time, participants have to work together to solve puzzles which involve real-world patents, learning about patent architecture, avoiding infringement, and more. Teachers may guide the participants during this challenge, providing hints and context to enrich their experience, or they can leave all that to the game. Curious about using Leap in Time as a teaching tool? Reach out to us at leapintime@au.
So I'll just skip that. So the idea here was that the game is short, average time of 45 minutes. I had a team of patent lawyers from a corporate company sort of take part in the game. They cracked the game in 25 minutes, which was good because they are lawyers, they should know this. But when I get students to play this, they usually take between 45 minutes to 50 minutes if they read and if they understand. If you don't read, the game can take over 2 hours. So the game forces you to really read and understand how it works. It's very simple. There's only 2 buttons. There's an inspect button and there's an interact button. Those are the only 2 buttons you can click in the game. And with minimal instructions, you can really get started. But the focus is really on reading. And we actually don't just give them fictive patents. We actually take a real patent. An actual patent is an expired patent of a milk and cereal packaging. We've taken this patent document, basically broken it down into multiple pieces and spread the pieces as puzzles that the students have to assemble and that way understand what the structure of a patent is. After that, we don't want to just stop there. We also want to encourage creativity. So the final room mission is file a new and original patent. And that means based from the patent they have assembled, they actually have to work with the patent designer to create a design around. And this ends with the creativity because they have permutations and combinations, and usually they will come up with something very new. So anyway, what I wanted to highlight in terms of what's the impact is if you ask how many people have actually read a patent description in my classroom, it's usually very low. It's like less than 25%. And this is over 300 responses here. But what is more interesting, and I'm going to highlight pre-game and post-game, is if you look at the blue part of the curve, which actually says, a lot of them, this 25% say that these are long and complicated documents written by lawyers for lawyers. That drops to 9% after playing the game, right? So that's really our impact. And another thing, did the game teach you anything new about patents? Well, for some of them, yes, because it's the first time they're encountering patents. But for me, what is the bigger impact is, do you want to learn more about patents? And that's where we see where more people are wanting to do that. And where do we see this in the classroom? This is a kind of a classroom experience. I'm not going to play this video very long, but the idea being that they're spending time and they're actually reading. And for me, that was for a real success because they're really going through the claims and understanding how these claims work. But I think the real impact, and this is a team of first-year master students of biology. They have done a research, and what they're showing here is how patents could be infringing, what none of them is infringed. And this is a type of slide I never saw students do about dependent and independent claims until they had done this kind of game-based learning. So I had some other cases, but I think in the interest of time, I'll probably skip this. But just one other case is another group of students who came up with a startup idea called Decameal, and they basically now use crabs in the ocean around Denmark, make innovative protein powder out of it, and sell it to the fish production industry. And these guys have really been able to raise over $10 million and are really doing quite well. And again, biology students able to overcome their traditional barriers and come up with very new and innovative ideas. And like I say, good things don't only come to those who wait, but those who really go for it. And I think that's really what I wanted to highlight. But thank you for your time, and I'll pass back to Yatin. We did not patent the game. The aim is, of course, to license it and give it to others. So it's actually, we're trying to kind of make it a bit more open access. So there will be a usage license, but in general, a lot of people would be able to play quite easily. It's also because it's funded by a non-profit, so it's funded by the European Union, and we could not immediately licensing with a charge, yes. It can be copied, yes, but I think for us, we have some other highlights, but I'll tell you the details of how we protect it later. There's some trade secrets, yes.
Yeah, I think you got a good perspective. He's a faculty, he's a professor, he's an entrepreneur, he's an administrative lead. You get an overall appreciation for how and what components come under the academic unit. Now I'll give it to Avinash, who will talk a little bit more of tech transfer from incubation, startups. He also has a lot of academic tech transfer experience, but the focus is going to be more on startups and incubations.
Thank you, Yatin. A very warm good morning to all of you. So Mary and Rajiv, we must appreciate both of the work, whatever you are doing. I will talk from the perspective of the whatever be the ecosystem is getting developed in India and across the different part of the India. So coming to my part, my journey, I have started my journey in the field of academics only. I have worked with many central government ministries like Niti Aayog, Ministry of MSME and Ministry of Electronics and IT. I was heading as a CEO of Atal Incubation Center project for many years. Then I have worked with many academic institutions and in top leadership position. So coming to some of the specific aspects where I have worked. So in India, if you will talk about the various academic universities, now they are focusing for various kinds of rankings like NIRF, NAC, NBA, and various kinds of rankings. So they are too much focused about the development of the incubation center, developing the pre-incubator units, developing the IP cells, developing the startup and innovation policy, IP policy. So I am helping them, I am supporting them for that kind of development of all these kind of policies and creating the ecosystem. So basically I am working as a catalyst for them because I am having a very good connections with government, industry, academia and all. So coming to specific parts, so these are some of the key highlights which I have done. I am trying to create a good vibrant ecosystem in the country, and specifically couple of the examples I will talk about Maharashtra, Pune, where I worked with the incubators and created few of the successful startup through tech transfer process. So we will be able to see that today. So can you move this slide? So these are some of the associations, partnerships, foreign partnerships where I have developed with various universities for creating of this kind of ecosystem. Next. So these are some of the examples of the many startups through which various kinds of ecosystem, various kinds of partnerships, raising the funds will take place, and mostly all these are successful startups from the Pune region. So Zephy Health is one of the startup in the healthcare domain. Then Krishi Gati is one of the startup which we are going to see how they have developed a patent and how they have developed and converted that in the successful startup. Next, can you go to that slide? Yeah. So this is one of the successful case study. So the founder of this particular product was a professor in MIT. MIT is one of the institution in Pune, a close part of the Alandi area. So some around 8 to 10 years ago, he was having something in my mind that let's develop something which can help the farmers for doing the precision farming. Tractors are doing a different kind of thing, and he thought of designing this particular thing, and I was heading the IP and technology transfer process at that time in that institution. So we started working together. So during the period of Corona, he went to his village and he just developed this prototype in his village. He just curated all these things, designed the things, then we were able to submit the design patents and some of the utility patent part of this. And then he developed this particular product. So we'll be able to see that how this particular product is doing now. So can you switch to that video?
Indian Indian farming is at a crossroads, stuck between tradition and the future. Current options, gas-guzzling giants or back-breaking human and animal labor. This needs a revolution, a transformation, a disruption. Say hello to the future of farming, the electric bull by Krishi Gati. Engineered with precision, it performs critical farming operations with unprecedented efficiency. Spraying, weeding, earthing up, precision sowing. Spraying, targeted application, safeguarding your crop,
So
preserving
he
the
is that
environment.
guy.
Weeding, systematic removal of unwanted plants, saving time, saving crops. Earthing up, soil distribution that protects and nurtures, crafted for optimum plant growth. Precision sowing, seeding with accuracy, reducing wastage, maximizing yield.
मेरा नाम तुलसी देवी है।
मेरा नाम राजमणि राम है।
मेरा नाम रुक्मिणी देवी है।
मेरा नाम है गायत्री कुमारी।
बेटी से चलने वाला मशीन लाया गया है और ये छोटे बड़े किसान के लिए अच्छा है। दिखने में अच्छा लग रहा है। यहाँ बीज का भी रोपाई अच्छा से हो रहा है और मिट्टी चढ़ाने का भी काम करेगा और घास निकालने का भी काम
This is
करेगा।
the testing we did in the
ये
rural
बहुत
part
ही
of Bihar.
सहज तरीके से मशीन उपलब्ध कराए गए हैं।
इसमें हम लोग दीदी लोग चला के देखे, बहुत अच्छा लगा और इस तरह हम लोग का गांव में भी किसी उपकरण केंद्र मिलना चाहिए, ये हम लोग के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी लगा।
हम लोगों को काफ़ी अच्छा लगा। इसमें हम लोगों का समय का बचत होगा, निकाई गुड़ाई में हमें सुविधा होगी और लेबर कॉस्ट में भी हमें लाभ मिलेगा।
हाँ, स्प्रे भी होता है और बीज भी बोआता है, तो इसको हमने चला के देखे तो बहुत अच्छा लगा और बहुत हल्का से चला और इसमें हर महिला इसको चला के देख रही है तो इसमें अच्छा लग रहा है।
Our innovation also contributes to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Zero emissions, a massive 20 to 70% reduction in operational costs, helping the initiative of doubling the farmer's income and productivity. Effortless
So
to operate.
this was the
It's
classic
empowering
example
women,
that
enabling
how
them to take charge
innovator
in the
from the
field,
academic
breaking down
institution,
barriers.
from the rural part,
This is not just
he
a
has
shift.
developed this product. Thank you.
It's
Thank
a
you.
leap.
So we'll switch
leap
to
into the
one
future
another
of
product
farming.
that is again a successful example from the academic institution. So price is around close to 2 lakhs, but government subsidy is there approximately for 40%. And lots of, we have done various partnership with NABARD and various funding agencies. Can you switch to second one? Yeah, so this is one of the classic example again from the academic institution. 3 of the students around 7-8 years ago during their final year projects from engineering, he decided to develop something unique. So this is again one of the very classic example of tech transfer and how that conversion can be done for the development of the startup. Is it done? Yes.
Introducing DAMSIS, in which spokes replaced with multi-axial shock absorption system.
So this product development took around 6 years of a span of time. A person having different kind of ability faces many problems on wheelchairs. So we decided to solve this problem. And this is the the design of the wheel is the IP. Now this can be get retrofitted with wheelchairs.
We make your rides safer during accidents, reducing back injuries by higher comfort and making the system efficient.
So in the interest of time, we'll wrap up the thing. So these are a couple of the classic examples where the Indian universities, the people from the rural background, students from the different part of the academic institutions are trying to innovate and trying to develop their IP in the form of startups, and we do support this kind of initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Avinash. I'm glad that the last speaker did not show up because of other issues, but we wouldn't have had time. I think the point here is to get you some information from people around the globe. We wanted more people, and I'm going to suggest to Dr. Agarwal next time to have possibly more sessions. We can arrange for that on the academic university side. That'll be great. 10 years ago or something, right? Yeah. Yeah. Was it 10? Oh, yeah, 9 years. So 8 years, yeah. So we'll try to do something more, but given the limited time, any quick questions? I am going to extend and use the 5-minute extra just because I have Dr. Agarwal here. He'll allow me to do that. Questions? I have tons of questions for them, but I'm sure you guys, anyone?
There is a specific website. If you can visit the site of Atal Incubation Center Pinnacle. So that was the project which I was leading, and during that period, this kind of projects get incubated. So there you can see all these kind of good social innovation based projects.
Any?
Anybody can answer. So this session is mainly for tech transfer. One of the problems that we face in tech transfer, I know about India, so I'll talk about it, is the matchmaking. You know, you have the tech, you know what is in the tech. We filed the patent for Route 3, so we know this. So one of the problems is when we have the tech, we don't know who the buyer would be. And that's where a lot of things get stuck. Once we have the seller and the buyer, then it's about the legal team coming together and writing the contracts. How do you overcome such obstacles in your part of the world?
So I'll say, because I have experienced different perspective from 3 different universities, it's always a challenge. And we have found it's really boots on the ground, one-on-one conversations to build the relationship. You can't it's not particularly successful if you go to a company to sell a tech. I have this tech, do you want to license it? The chance that they want that technology at that particular moment is very, very slim. And, for 30 years, I've been getting the response, this is too early stage. So the other thing that, not just our university, but at Georgia Tech, this year we're focusing on how can we get more translation, for example. But for us at Stanford, it was a very, long, the office existed a long time. Basically, we had a very good Rolodex, and people responded to the fact that we were Stanford. I did not have that advantage at the University of Utah, for example. I do have that advantage at Georgia Tech. So we've just found, some of it is going to meetings like bio because you have the speed dating kind of thing. And physical sciences have found it much more difficult, but the faculty are the best to a company.
I can also quickly answer so we have gone for 3 approaches to solve this problem because it's a very well-known problem. One is, of course, in the training level already of the scientists and of the students, is that to identify the unmet need very early on and only develop the tech if you see there's a market need for it, and otherwise don't go for it. So that's already helping. So by the time they file for patent, there's actually a buyer already. So we're already working in that on one side. However, there will still be some inventions that will be created that do not have a buyer yet. And in that case, we do 2 things. We are either, of course, looking for partnering with multiple institutions and seeing how can we offer the technology for other users. So not limiting it to the use that the inventor thought, but someone else looking into it. And one way we also do that is actually getting students to work with the tech transfer office and take up either patents that are just sitting in the, let's say, cupboard, or patents that are just lying around, discarded IP, and actually come up with emerging uses for it. And they act as consultants, and in doing that, they sometimes unlock areas that the inventor themselves might not have thought about.
Yeah, And just to follow up on Mary, there is statistics that show that 2/3 of the connections for commercializing come from the inventors themselves. So trying to stay engaged with them, keeping them abreast of many industry events that are available. So we have constantly tried to take innovators to go attend them, identify those, stay in touch with industry. So we have in the United States, there is advancement offices, industry engagement offices, which we work with, or that comes under commercialization or division of research. So we are in touch with industry. This is sort of what even Rajiv said, that, you know, yeah, one way is to find out what the industry needs and do it, but that doesn't historically happen. You know, innovations come, faculty, and they always feel that we are not doing anything. You know, I mean, we get slammed by faculty all the time, inventors. Oh, here's my invention, it should make $1 million, where's the $1 million check? It doesn't happen that way, but we keep them engaged so that if they know what the real world wants, not is what they have made, but what the industry market is demanding, then it becomes easier for them to develop that. So, and faculty and professors and inventors come with a lot of egos which have to be controlled, but that's how life is.
I could just add, we have started a new program from last year. It's called the Distinguished Innovator Fellowship. That's only given to senior faculty if they demonstrate capability to engage with industry.
Yeah, and sometimes like there are colleagues who wanted to see, if there's one success you get, others want to follow them, because what happens is, mujhe wo chahiye jo uske paas hai, right? You know, otherwise, oh, I won't be the leader, you know, you should do everything. But then there's one professor you find, innovator you find, who wants to work with you, go all the way, and they succeed. Then the others are like, hey, but you didn't come to me. I said, no, I came to you 5 times. You did not want to pursue it. So it's a matter of a lot of factors. It's not just one factor. And that's what Mary was also saying, is like, you have to stay engaged. There is no easy answer to it, but there are a multitude of these. I know I've ran, okay, one last question to Dr. Irwan.
See, one important problem which you face is mismatch of expectations. Faculty thinks this is a technology. All they have done is something in a test tube or a flask, build some crude prototype, while industry definition of technology is entirely different. And this is what very often leads to dissatisfaction and non-cooperation. How do you address this issue?
Quick response.
Just real quick response. As far as the mismatch of expectations, it's both on the faculty side and the company side. The companies are so aware of this. And when companies have come to me in the past, I mean, they're actually aware of it, but they still come to me and say, oh, this is too early stage, whatever. We are now saying, well, help us out. Can you, not traditional sponsor research, but are you interested in helping fund it? It's still cheaper than building it in-house. The mismatch with faculty, which has been mentioned, it's actually, for me, been a problem when we have a success story, because then at Stanford we had faculty getting millions and millions of dollars every year, and other people would say, I want that, saying, okay, well, in that case, the reason why was because, you know, they were more engaged or broader range of things available. So I guess my short answer is it's always a problem. How to deal with it is it depends, you know, on the personality of the faculty member, on the tech area of the company.
This very quick is we have answered this by trying to remove an approach where we are removing the IP barrier and actually getting the lawyers to come in later in the process. So having industry and the innovator to talk together without the lawyer first, get the interaction, then bring the lawyer in.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank the panel and thank you, audience. I mean, we started with 20 people. Now we have 50 or more. Glad that you could come here. The panel will be available through the day. So please feel free to reach out now that you know what they are. My hope is there'll be 100 questions and possibly 200 connections. Thank you again for your time. And
Well, what an enlightening and a wonderful session it was. Let us have a huge round of applause for our panelists for sharing the views on the theme. Now I'd request Mr. Yatin Karpe to kindly felicitate the speaker. And by the way, Mr. Yatin Karpe has also brought some personal mementos for the guests as well. So first we have Ms. Dr. Rajiv Basaya Moy. Our second speaker was Dr. Avinash Thakur. Now we have Ms. Mary Albertson. Now I would like to invite Dr. Dhanpat Ram Agrawal, founder and director of GIPC, to kindly felicitate moderator Dr. Yatin Karpe.
I'm really highly thankful to Yatin, my dear friend. We have been talking about this workshop for last 6 months to make it a success. So I am once again thankful to you and to all the learned speakers for this wonderful session.
Thank you, Doctor.
With this, we come to the end of our session. We'll just take a few minutes to get the stage ready, and we'll be resuming with the next session soon. Thank you.